Because while there is no law or set of laws that can prevent every senseless act of violence completely, no piece of legislation that will prevent every tragedy, every act of evil, if there's even one thing we can do to reduce this violence, if there's even one life that can be saved, then we've got an obligation to try.
Okay, that was President Obama earlier today releasing his plan aimed at stemming gun violence. With more on the story, we're joined now by Colleen McCain Nelson from our bureau in Washington, D.C. Colleen, obviously a lot in this plan. What evidence, one of the things we had in there was that large capacity magazines and assault rifles will be banned. What evidence is there that will actually help?
Well, that's an interesting question, and it's difficult to say with any certainty how much it might help. A lot of people have pointed in recent weeks to the fact that there's just really a dearth of research on some of these questions, a dearth of research on guns, on gun violence, on some of these measures, and so it's difficult to quantify how much that might help. But for instance, the White House this morning on the question of why ban high-capacity magazines, they pointed to the shooting in Tucson that critically injured former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, and they pointed to the fact that the gunman there was able to shoot many people and eventually stop to reload, and that's when he was tackled, when he was struggling to reload ammunition. And so they say, you know, if someone is unable to fire off dozens and dozens of shots, lives could be saved. Fewer people would be injured or killed.
Now, there are a lot of items on the president's list. What have the most chance of getting through and implemented within the Beltway?
Well, it's possible that nothing gets through, of course. The president hopes that at least some, if not all of these things get through. And kind of the lines in Congress are still taking shape. And so we're starting to hear from lawmakers and get a sense of what they might be willing to support. It certainly sounds like more people are coalescing around the idea of strengthening background checks, requiring more background checks. The president has called for universal background checks. He wants to require a check every time a gun is sold, even between individuals, and it's unclear whether Congress would be willing to go that far, but there's a lot of support around the idea of improving the background check system, requiring more background checks. Right now, as many as 40% of the gun sales that go through don't involve a background check, and a lot of people say they're willing to support that. Whether it's enough people in Congress remains to be seen.
Okay, well, we shall see. Thank you very much, Colleen McCain Nelson with the Wall Street Journal in Washington, D.C.